Hey, we're jumping into a few things today. I'm going to be bouncing around. So for any of you who are a little more ADHD like me, today might be a fun lesson. If you're not, this might be a little more difficult. No, just kidding. So, right, we're all built differently. Okay, but what we're going to jump into is I want to jump into AI. And the question I have for you guys is, okay, who's using AI but feels like they can use it better? Right? Okay, so what we're going to be going into is this right here. So as a top producer, how are you going to stop using AI as a Google search, right? But start using it to actually do better thinking and start using it to doing more, right? So what we're going to be going in is a lot of different aspects. And I kind of have taken this in two paths, but one of them, and I like this one, is AI should not replace your relationships. This is the biggest thing that I want you to be really fundamental and secure on. It should protect the time and consistency required to build them, right? If AI is not helping you to then go out and spend more time building relationships, you're using it wrong, right? Because this business is what? It's a people business, right? It's a contact sport. This is going to be very much how do you go out and be there with people in a form or fashion. And I've seen you guys do it in a lot of different ways. I've seen you guys do it really well through open houses, through social media and commenting. I've seen it where you call people. I've seen it where some of you loved going and doing, one-on-one kind of taking people to lunch and stuff, right? So many different ways that you can build relationships, and AI is here to help you do that. So what we're going to talk about is two different ways that you can use AI. One is as your think partner. And I think that this is a part that is honestly drastically underutilized. I have a lot of you come to me and I think, I'm always happy to answer, right? You come to me and you ask an amazing question or you have a scenario. And I need to do better of saying, hey, have you had this conversation with your AI? Because this is what I know a lot of my coaches would tell me to go do first, right? Is go use what you have, and we're going to talk about this in detail, but go use your uncle, is what I'm going to call it, your 180 IQ uncle in your pocket, who can tell you things, who's had some experiences in some form or fashion. They're not always right, but at the same time, there's so much intelligence behind it, right? And then the other thing that we're going to talk about, and we're going to show you some use case scenarios, is using it as an operation manager to actually get repetitive tasks done for you. And so we're going to go down this road in two different ways. We'll talk about it more. We're going to dive into it. But this is why I'm jumping a little bit back and forth, because, right when I show you an example, if I did them all at the end, then we'd be here waiting for it to give us what it does. And I'm going to jump in, do something, jump back into the other conversation of a think partner and go back and forth, right? But there is no better way that I could really map this out with showing you it doing stuff at the same time. So, first of all, as a think partner, having it be where it's someone where, this is going to be how do you use it in that way to build more perspective before you make a choice, right? So this one right here says top producers need a thinking partner, not another search box, right? Not using AI to say, hey, where's the closest place that I should eat, right? I'm not saying that's not what you shouldn't use it for, but that's a very low level of what AI is built for, right? What you should be using it is having it where you're going through and actually having decisions and thought processes with it. Have it so that it shapes conversations. Have it as a script partner for when you're about to go do some negotiations. So you can use it when you are going to call up or have a buyer who you know what their whole issue is, right? What are those things that you're going to do, and having that first? That's what we're going to be talking about, and how to personalize it so that it actually gives you better response. Because, if you don't give it the right input, then you're not going to get the right output. So, picking your AI. I need to chat about this every time. A lot of you have different ones. The reality is every single week they're changing so drastically that it's hard to say, go all in on this one, because they're changing. So I'm going to show them all. We're going to quickly talk about them. These are the three main players that I go to the most often. is ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. They are all powerful, and they all have a different personality. So you just need to choose, right? These right here, though, are the LLM side. So this is going to be your chat bot. This is going to be where you go have those conversations. Then the next part is going to be, and that Cowork is not the right symbol, but oh well, is Claude Cowork. So that's not that Cowork, but Claude Cowork, Codex, and it's not that symbol either, but it is Codex. So Codex is owned by ChatGPT or Manus, right? So they're all different. And if I go back to this one, ChatGPT, the Codex is going to be where you actually download it onto your computer and it can control your computer, which makes it so now you can start doing repetitive tasks. Same with Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork, you download it onto your computer, and then there's a tab that you can now have it do things on your computer, right? Same thing with Manus. Manus, you download onto your computer, and now it can actually start doing stuff for you, right? All of them have their different perks, their different things they're good at. So I'm not going to say go choose one over the other. It probably is either A, what tool are you already using? And then you can kind of go start using that, right? Because the reality is they're all improving and changing so fast. They do have certain things that they're better at. So if you're really wanting something that's that much better at writing, okay, you probably go to Claude, right? If you're wanting something that's that much more nerdy on stats and things, and you use a lot from YouTube, you're probably going to want Gemini. Because Gemini it's owned by Google, which YouTube is owned by Google, right? So they're very integrated. ChatGPT is kind of still the all around, but has gotten really good. Just even last week is when it had a huge power, like of it getting better, right? So it's kind of interesting how it all works. Question?
Question just about Gemini within like the Google.
Yeah.
You're writing your documents and you're writing emails. It always like corrects it, but it makes me sound like a total nerd, and I don't like the way like it changes all my grammar. But I still don't want to sound like I'm dumb. So like, how do you really train it to like kind of talk like me so it's not as formal?
So what you can do, and this is actually what we're going to talk a little bit about. We're talking about it more today in telling it and giving it certain steps to be a better coach for you. But the thing is, all of the LLMs in different ways, if you prompt it, hey, take what I have. This, of course, sounds like me. Keep it sounding like me. Just improve it.
But how can you do that in the Google? Like, you know, like in your Google email, is there a way into that, or you have to have a different subscription for that?
That is a good question. That's Gemini.
Affect your like email.
So I would have to play with it.
Okay.
I don't know on that one. I know like depending on how it's done is how I would like, and most of the Gemini, or most of them, and I'll show you a little bit today, there's a spot in settings that you can also add more details that personalize it how you want it to work. So for example, there's this cool thing called M dashes, right? Do you guys know what those are? It's that thing that you would never write because you're all human. And I don't think any of you, maybe Scott. Scott's the biggest nerd. So Scott would probably use M dashes because he even knows, you know, what word has the most vowels.
The longest word with a single vowel.
Yep, he knows that randomly. See, I told you.
That's what I took away from bold last year.
That was yeah. So but M dash is where, you know, when AI uses it all the time. It's the long one. I mean, the thing is, if you look at grammar and how it works, it uses it perfectly. Like it's an amazing tool as a writer. But the thing is, you know, somebody like me who barely passed high school, just kidding, I didn't. I did better than that. But especially with like writing, right? That was not my forte. Like I would never have known M dashes. So everything sounds very much like AI if it uses it. So in your personal descriptions, you can say, never use M dashes, right? Easy, you give it rules. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about with this training side. So, but what I kind of want you to think, and this is where we're going to start jumping around, right? Is, you know, there's a few different things that you should be doing because prompting is asking AI a one-off question. So when you're doing a lot of your training or having it where you're doing something, you want to be good at prompting. But the reality is You want to get really good at prompting if it's a specific thing. The other thing is you want to get really good at delegating. And this is a skill that you learn as running a business as well, right? If you have a virtual assistant, if you have an employee, getting good at delegating is the exact same skill that you need to get really good at with your AI, right? And that's what we're going to talk about. Because the question really is, okay, what's a repeatable task that you are doing that you should have AI do for you? And we'll give you some examples for that. But here's kind of a little bit with, if you're going to go through and build your first real estate AI agent, and we're going to talk about this in some different ones, is outcome, input, tools and sources. So where should I be looking? Using the format, like what do you want the output to look like? Schedule, so when it should run, and also the escalation, when it should ask you, right? And getting better at that will help you build better repeatable tasks in what you do. The next thing is, here's some examples. You could have it be where every single month it goes and grabs information for you for your monthly market email. You could even have it write it and give you the draft. You could have it where social caption content repurposing, right? Like if you had it where you want it to do certain things of creating captions or repurpose one thing for another thing, like, if you're like, great, my Instagram post, I also want this to be over here. I actually do that right now. So my YouTube videos, I have my AI go take off my YouTube videos and then repurpose them and create my carousels. They create my different shorts, all of that. It goes through and it takes a lot of that information. Right now, it sends a lot of it to Kenny, my assistant, and then she goes and does the final touches, right? But how can you do this? This is where I want you to start thinking. Okay, your top 200 database touch plan, like how can you use AI and what things can you have it help with, right? Having it so listing descriptions or showing feedback summaries, right? These are all things that if you do, and like the thing is, there's so many more. So I'm going to show you a couple even different ones, and that's where we're going to jump into. But the thing is, the whole goal with this is not to get rid of you. This is to delegate, draft, give you reminders, do the researching, repurposing, having it so that you are being still the human in that relationship. It's this whole conversation of functionary versus fiduciary, right? We are, as real estate agents, fiduciaries, right? We just have to do a lot of functionary things. So how can you use the AI to help you do that? So here's kind of one of the examples that I'm going to show you. So the first person to get on the MLS, grab one of their listings and text me the listing link, I will use theirs to do this really quick. So, and I'm going to show you how I would use one of the AIs to create a story, a social story for Just Listed. So whoever can send me a link the fastest, it just needs to be. All right, who is it going to be? I'm going to go off. So for this, nice, Mello got it. Ooh, there was some, Rollin was close second. I love it. I love it. Bird. All right. Okay, so here we go. So Codex is one that you can use. Codex is, like I said, it's ChatGPT's. It's on your computer. It has more abilities to control your computer and do things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this link in here, right? So this is from Flex MLS. We now know what one. I'm also going to give it our logo. And then I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to just communicate. And I'm going to say, hey, I need you to use this link of this property and help me create a Instagram story for it to be just listed for me to post. Ah, well, just sold. There we go. I can change that. Okay, so now I'm going to have it start working. It's going to go think through the process. It's going to start working on it. And now my job is to go do something else. Of course, it's really fun to see here and watch it think. Like it's like, oh, look, I'm doing this, right? And I do this all the time because you nerd out and you go, whoa, look, it's looking at the web right now. And it's just really fun. But we're not going to spend the time doing that. I'm going to go back into our lesson. We'll come back on that part in just a second. So let's go right here. Okay, so we'll go back to that part in a second. So the next thing, we're going to jump back into now having it be, while that one's going, I want to show you how do you have it be more of a coach for you to help you through hard things. I also, by the way, don't think you should replace your coach with this. This is an additional coach, right? Like, this is a way that you can amplify and have more often conversations than like your every once in a while good conversation with a live coach, right?
Still Codex.
You could do this with anything. So if you have ChatGPT, if you have Claude, the big thing is you're going to want to use this, and this is why this part's important. You're going to give it the information that you need, and to actually have it know you, to coach you. But you also want it to be acting like a coach. Do not agree with me on everything, right? Like, I know a lot of you love your AI because it like thinks you're the best person in the world, right? And okay, there's a benefit to that. But, right, at the same time, if I'm making excuses or avoiding hard work, we never do that as real estate agents. Never. Call it out. Be a coach, not a yes man. Challenge me when I need it. My growth matters more than my feelings. Right? But if you're going to have a real good coach and have a conversation about it, isn't that what you would want? Right? That makes a big difference in what you're doing. So you're going to use this, because the thing is, if you have it where it's structured well, then it's not going to be a weak plan where it will praise you. Good job on making your 2 conversations today. That, like, whatever, right? If it's an excuse, it's not going to give you it's not going to validate excuses, right? So, because we all have them. That's how it works in life, right? And the reality is, if it validates them, then it's like, yeah, okay, like that doesn't help you, right? Also, vague goals, right? It might motivate you. You can do it. Do better this next time. Doesn't help you either, right? But having it be where you set specific actions is where you need to go, right? If you listen to the One Thing podcast from this week, awesome one, highly recommend it. They talk about how Gary Keller, when he's going through, he actually was talking with and coaching about the one thing, and they had to make sure they changed it to what's the one thing that you're doing this week that's the most important, and only hold them accountable to that. Because they realize that if you say, all right, here's the 5 things I'm going to do, then you're going to do the 4 things that were easier and still skip the one thing that was actually most important, right? Again, this is just knowing yourself, but also having it where you can have these conversations to go from there. So let me go and check on to see where that's at. If I go in, all right, it needed some permission, so I'm going to say yes. It's going to keep on going, and I'll go back in. Okay, so using AI to challenge you, right? So here's the different things that I want you to think about. And if you put this in your prompt, it's going to make your prompt better. So if you're having a conversation and you want, this first one's one that I've coached around with you guys a lot. It's, ask me questions before you give me advice. Because if you, of course, don't tell it that, there's a good chance that it doesn't ask you any questions and it just says, this is the answer. Because it created an answer off the most knowledge it currently knows, right? But if you instead say, hey, ask me this, then it forces it to come up with more, go deeper down than the first level answer, right? 2, push back on my plan. What am I missing? Right? 3, help me find my one thing for this week. You can have a whole conversation with it. If you're filling out your 411 and working on what are your goals for this week, you can send it a whole screenshot of what you want to have and be like, hey, here's everything I need to get done. Help me figure out what's the one thing that I need to make sure I get done this week. That's the most important, right? 4, you can have it be, what would a top producer do differently here? right? Give it a scenario and do some and figure that out. 5, I am about to make this decision, challenge it. Have it challenge your thinking, right? One of my friends loves to use his AI as the devil's advocate for anything that he likes. He loves to be like, okay, he loves shiny objects, right? He will be ready to build anything or create anything or be like, hey, like this is the best plan, right? And he uses AI as his devil's advocate to challenge him on any of his thought processes. Nothing to say on that. So, nah, just kidding. I love it. Yep, I love it. Don't want to get myself in trouble if I say something. Okay, I love it. Okay, so this right here, okay, you can also try things like this. You can role play. You can have it go through those things. I love having it be where you're strategizing and having that conversation for a quick second, right? You can also have it be the agent and you be the client. And you can learn from it having the conversation with you. Just prompt it, right? Open it up, prompt it, and have that conversation. Okay, let's see where we're at now. Okay, it's still going. Still getting closer. The nice thing is I don't have to watch it the whole time. Okay, next one. We're going to turn AI into a habit. So we're going to go through and do different things. We're not going to skip that one right now because it's still doing one. Okay, so you're going to have it be where you can then have certain things. A lot of the AI can have it be where you're setting up automation so it can do things. You can have it do a morning check-in with you, right? Seeing how you're doing. You can have it where it reviews your week. So you can send it a screenshot of your calendar, or you can give it access to your calendar, both of those, and you can say, hey, let's have a whole conversation about how did I do this week, right? Ask me questions about my calendar and have it be one at a time so I can have an interview style. Have a whole conversation around it. See what and how you're doing so you can reflect on that, right? 3, like we talked about already, script practice, kind of being able to play with it in that way. So here's a 7-day challenge if you want to do it. 1, if you don't have it, set up what AI you're going to use and also then prompt it to be a coach and have a coaching conversation with your AI. 2, one of the mornings or every morning, have it be where it asks you and you have a conversation about your one thing so you can deep dive into it. 3, hey, what am I missing? Have it push back on some things that you're doing. 4, day 4, use it for a script practice. Day 5, obstacle review, give it an obstacle that's in your path and, so name an excuse and ask it for the next hard move. 6, have it think it from a top producer's lens on what it would do, something that you're doing differently. And 7, have it review how you did and have a good dialogue around it. If you did this, that means you're now having a conversation with your AI every day this week to help you improve your behaviors or at least self-reflect in that way so that you can continue to figure out what's next, right? Okay, let me see if this is now done. There it is. Okay. So here it is, closed, just sold. And you could put that, right? It's all ready. I could, of course, go and tweak things. So I could then go and give it comments and different, have it be in different ways. But this right here, if I downloaded it, it is the right format. It's what Instagram wants for a story graphic, right? I could. I would want to do different sizing though. But I could now say, hey, I actually want to use this with multiple pictures as a carousel. And I could go do that, right? But the thing is, what are you doing that you're already taking that extra time on that you could leverage in this? One of the ones I'm not going to have time for, but I'd go challenge you guys to go do, is use whatever AI you're using give it a link to one of your properties that hasn't sold, and have it critique your listing and see if there's any advice to help you with SEO or CEO or anything for how it's written. And then just have a conversation around it. Because is there something that you did in your comments that could make it stand out that much more? Right? Kind of, you could do any of them. Right now I'm using ChatGPT the most because of 5.5. It definitely had a cool boost in how good it is. But the reality is that's just where I'm at, right? Like I still use Claude on a daily basis and I still use Manus quite often. So it just depends. Right now that was Codex, that was ChatGPT's. So that's the thing is ChatGPT is the same subscription as Codex. So that's where it's like how, yep. Because ChatGPT is the one that's on the web. And then if you download it, there's a button if you go onto your thing, it's called Codex. You download it and that's the on your screen one that connects to your computer. So then you can start doing cool things where it actually can control your computer as long as you give it permission. So right now, for example, it's in that way. That's what Cowork does, right? Through Claude. That's what all of those do. So that's where it's like how and where and what can you do to help you with those extra little tasks. Manus can do the same thing. Manus is really cool. If you give it what your main goal is, and it can be really good in that way. Yeah.
So, trying to log into things as me, it can't do it.
There's going to be a few different ways that might run into. They're all getting better. So like my guess is Manus will have another upgrade any second now that helps it with that, right? But like a lot of them, they get stopped. Even like a lot of mine will get stopped on trying to log in because of it's a robot, right? And still a lot of websites try and block that. So like it has to go from the browser or something. Like a lot of so right now, like I can have it be where, yeah. So I can have it be where instead it goes on the browser and just acts like me as a human and goes on through it, right? So it just kind of depends on what you're doing. Yeah.
You're using an older computer, desktop.
Older computer, yep.
Is it beneficial to upgrade? I mean, is that gonna slow you down if you're so older?
Yes and no. So if you're going to be using anything that's on your computer, it's going to slow it down because it's using that. Most of the things all the ones that we've talked about are all web-based users right now. So it's still going to have to do that. So at some point in time, I think you do need to make sure you're upgrading. I think that the way that AI is going, having more powerful equipment is going to be where you can then do certain things at a better level, right? If you want more automation, if you want more things done, I do think that's one of those steps. And I do think from some of the stuff people I'm following, that I think that the equipment part is going to get more expensive, not cheaper, where AI will probably get cheaper overall for usage, but the operating hardware is going to get more expensive because it's going to be more needed at a higher level. So we'll see where it all goes, but that'll be interesting. Yeah.
One thing with like Manus,
Manus.
you have to connect it to different platforms and stuff so it can access it.
Yep.
But whenever it has a hard time and you have to teach it what to do, you can then say, hey, remember this as a skill. So you can like program different skills. So there's added layers of instruction when it's accessing something that it can recall to get the job done automatically.
Correct. Yep. And that's going to be what all three of those ones will do to some degree is you can turn it into some form of a skill or a project that it will do in that way.
Yeah. So you say like, once you go through the process and it's successful, say, okay, what we just did, remember this as a skill and add that to your skill sets. So. Yep.
Yeah. So but the thing is just and Rory Vaden, right? So Rory Vaden, he talks about getting your time back. So by taking the time to sometimes go through and figure out how do you do something to then give it off to an employee or AI to do for you is where you're now compounding your future time. You're multiplying your time. So, okay. Key takeaways. Anything that you guys learned? Perfect. Okay. So pick your LLM, train it to be on it, Go through those steps, use it as a partner, a think partner, have it do things for you, add and make sure that it's, going to push you back and build habits around it so that you're doing that. Because AI is not a search box, right? It becomes valuable when it challenges your thinking and improves your action. So go make things happen.
Taylor, how am I gonna know if it's you or actually your AI?